Welcome to the Winning with Shopify podcast. This is the podcast to help you scale your Shopify store into a money-making machine. Email has the highest ROI of all marketing channels. Are you maximizing its potential and growing your list? Drive conversions and create more connections with Seguno, the top-rated email marketing platform built exclusively for Shopify. Seguno is offering Winning with Shopify listeners an extended free trial, plus a complimentary strategy session with an email marketing expert. Visit seguno.com/winningwithshopify to claim your offer. Now, over to your host, Nick Truman.
Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Winning with Shopify podcast. For anyone that's tuned in before, I still have a little bit of a cough, so apologies. And anyone watching on video, I have gashed my head open in the garage. So apologies if you're wondering what that is. I feel the need to just tell everyone, and it gets rid of all the suspicions of what happened. I'm trying to tell my mates that I saved a woman and child from a bear attack or something exciting. But no, I gashed it in the garage on a metal spike sticking out, and it was all a bit pathetic, if I'm honest. But welcome back. We're continuing our series on email, and it's a pleasure to have you all tuning in. If you haven't tuned in before, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you with us. We have hundreds of episodes. I realized that 2 weeks ago was my 150th episode that I had recorded, and Caroline was running it before that as well. So I'm slightly seasoned, but still full of energy in running the podcast. So great to have you all tuning in. If you like today, hit subscribe, leave us a review, and also check out the website, winningwithshopify.com. The main thing to do on there is submit an episode idea. That form wasn't working on the website. I fixed it a few days ago. So go and submit an episode idea. If you want to sponsor the podcast, go and let us know. And also, if you've got any questions you'd like to ask about email while we're doing this series with Seguno, chuck those on there as well, and we'll feed them into the content we're going through. Today, we're talking about managing a community on email, amongst a lot of other things as well. Got a very special guest who's joining me today. Her name's Sonya, and she's from a business called Dog and Boy. So, Sonya, welcome to the show.
Hi, Nick. Thank you so much for having me. And
well, it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
You're going to need to refine the story about the head gash a little bit better. I'm sure you can improvise somewhere. But and congrats on the 150th episode. Well done.
Oh, thank you very much. It's one of those things that I didn't actually realize was 150 until after we'd recorded it and edited it. And Byron said, it says 150 on the system. It's like, oh, congratulations, mate. Well done. We've made it, which is cool. But yeah, my football team, I play in a football team, and they do not know the truth about my head. I've sort of said to them, oh, it's bad. I'll explain when I'm allowed to come and play again. But yeah, it was brutal. So I've got a bit of time to work on the story of those guys. But
that's it. You can embellish a bit.
Yeah, well, my wife's first words were, well, you better milk this. I should be washing your hair and stuff for you now. Been enjoying every second. But Sonya, we ask all of our guests when they join in, tell us a bit about your background, how you got involved in the business, and what the business does as well.
Well, Dog and Boy, we are based in Melbourne, Australia. Been running about nearly 9 years now. And we design, if you can kind of see in the background, we design beautiful original print scarves. It's quite a niche product. It's a niche business. I came from a background of corporate, in the corporate world, banking, finance, consulting, and I still don't quite know why, but why I started the business. Well, it was just literally an idea one day in the dog park, and it just grew from there. I sort of did the business plan and call it midlife crisis, I don't know. And yeah, here we are. So yeah, it's been a journey. It's been a ride for sure.
Yeah, well, I'm in my mid-30s and I'm trying to convince my wife to let me buy a sports car. We're at that stage already, which, if you run a business, you can make these things happen. But yes, but she's still a no. She sort of talks about mortgage payments and other stuff, which is all very exciting. Yeah. But 9 years, I mean, that's a long time to be running a business. And I'm sure as the rest of this episode rolls out, we're going to learn a huge amount of lessons that you've learned. We were chatting before we hit record as well, just a quick FYI for everybody. It's hard graft. We were having a bit of a heart-to-heart just before we hit record about actually how difficult running a business, managing a team, keeping the wheels in motion, keeping money in the bank so you can spend it, but getting more in. How difficult that is. So we're going to feed that in as well. We're not solely just going to give you here's your big list of things to worry about in email. But I mean, how big is the business now as well? How many people are working there? How many products are you guys selling? And how many countries do you sell in as well, as you mentioned?
Yeah, look, collections. So we bring out 2 seasons a year, and they're limited editions. So they're limited collections we produce in limited quantities. That's for a variety of reasons. I suppose it provides, a sense of urgency for customers to want to buy something. But also, we didn't want to, the whole idea with Dog and Boy is we didn't want to just make stuff. There's lots of stuff out there, and we didn't want to contribute to the already mounting problem in the fashion industry.
Yep.
So what we had to create and how we did it had to be special. It had to be different. We are a premium product. Um, that's reflective in pricing and obviously how the business works and that type of thing, but still attainable as well. So everything we did was certainly around those types of values that we had in the business. So we bring out that twice a year. We export to the US and to Canada. We're only a small operation with our studio. There's 4 of us on the team, but it is basically sort of the inventory comes in and it generally sort of goes out again. So we don't have a huge footprint, I suppose, and that sort of works well as well with, trying to keep a level of sustainability in the business. I'd never say that we were a sustainable business or anything like that by virtue of being in the fashion industry, but all our business processes, we certainly try and do that, with everything that we do.
Yeah. A few things you said then. Again, we had a bit of a conversation about this before we started recording as well. Excuse me, I said I might not cough, guys, but well, I'll try my best. But you've mentioned a few things there about like we're in the fashion industry, so like we're trying to do our best, but we're not sustainable. But also like we didn't want to just contribute stuff. And I think we've all seen the videos of like rivers in, I won't name any names, but certain countries, rivers that are just full of dyes, where they've been dyeing clothing and other stuff, and they just chuck it in the river afterwards. And I think certainly in the UK, we're having a bit of an identity crisis with sustainability anyway, about like, okay, so we're burning coal, and the UK is like literally sitting on top of coal, but we won't mine our own, because if we get it from another country, although we have to pay for the diesel on a ship to move it across the world from like, we're literally talking from like Colombia to the UK. Although we have to do that, the carbon credits for the coal and the diesel are all in Colombia. I don't know if it is Colombia itself, but it's those kind of distances. So it's interesting you say that and not wanting to just contribute stuff into the industry. Like, I guess bringing it into marketing, how do you guys get that kind of message across to people of we're doing our best? Do you just not bother? Is it less of a thing in Australia than perhaps in other countries? Like, how do you guys balance that?
No. Look, on the contrary, I think we've certainly, Australia's, it's a growing concern within Australia here. Look, I think people are just becoming far more conscious of what they're doing. And because of our audience that we have, our customer base, they're an older, and we'll obviously talk more about it, but look, they're an older demographic. They're not, the young millennials that are up and coming and so forth. So when you kind of get to that, they're sort of your older ex-Geners and your baby boomers and sort of, older than that as well. They're past the whole quick hit retail. They want something. They want something that's more unique. They want something that's a bit more timeless and sophisticated. They don't need the Zaras of the world and that type of thing. They don't want to be like everybody else. They don't want something that's everywhere. They just, it's a bit more special for them. So, by virtue of that, that's sort of, I suppose, where we targeted ourselves with our product base and who our base customer is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess a big question then to bring it into email. You've mentioned about who your sort of target customer are, where they're at. We won't go into it today, but you've obviously spent a lot of time analysing that, and I assume talking to those customers as well has been a big part of that.
It's taken a long time. I mean, as I said before, we're nearly 9 years old, and our audience that I thought we would be targeting didn't end up being our audience that, eventuated. And it really is we talked about starting a business, and I think, you go in thinking this is the product and this is who I'm going to target, but sometimes that actually evolves and it changes. And we've certainly done that with what we've done and who we target, and that sort of thing. And that's really through trial and error. Obviously, it's through analytics that you get over time and that type of thing. So, and some of it surprised me. So it was, it was good to sort of get a better idea. And I think if you're too set in your ways when you start out in your business, there can be a bit of a downfall, I think, because you may not sort of get the achieve the goals that you want, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so with that audience, then I said I wasn't going to ask any question based, but I'm going to ask one just because it's burning in my mind now. How much of a reality check was that when you, like, when was the day or the moment where you were like, all right, I just need to accept that I thought it was going to be these people and it's these people? How difficult was that transition?
Yeah, it was. Look, it was probably. I would say we're probably about sort of maybe 2 years into the business, to be honest.
Mm.
And that's sort of by then, we'd gathered enough kind of data to sort of go, oh,
Hmm.
okay. We also do, so we have a wholesale side to the business. This isn't just online. So it was also developing that wholesale side through trade shows and our retailers and that type of thing. So getting that was, yeah. And it was actually just I've always been curious, always asked questions. So, whenever
Yeah.
a retailer may say, I don't like that. It would be, well, why? Tell me. Not because,
Mm.
why not? Why don't you love it? It's more, tell me why. Because if you don't tell me, I can't fix it and I can't
Yeah.
adapt our business to be able to suit the needs and the demands of the market. So, yeah, so
Mm.
it was a couple of years in and, yeah, it was, okay, well, we need to change how we do things, how we design and what we design and that type of thing. So it was also interesting that time and again, we've always sort of thought, how else do we grow the business? How else do we extend our audiences? How do we
Mm.
sort of open up other audiences, be they, new types of customers or younger customers? But time and again, the market kept telling us, just do what you do, and that's design scarves, which sounds really simple. And
Mm.
that's why we got into the business. So it was really just do one thing and do it really well. I actually
Mm.
I started the business, well, before I started the business, it was probably about 18 months beforehand. I actually
Yep.
went to a lunch here in Melbourne. Seth Godin, who I'm sure you know
Yes.
from New
Yes.
York,
Yeah.
was here. Huge fan. Had read so many of his stories and articles and books and so forth. Um, and I went to a lunch, and he said at the time, I can't remember which book he was launching at the time, but he said, we do, things like this for people like this. So it was basically what he was saying is just don't be all things to all people. You can't be all things to
Mm.
all people. Do the one thing, do it really well, and do it really
Yep.
damn well. So, and that's, I went out, rang my husband and said, okay, I think I'm going to do this. So left the corporate world, and yeah, well, still waiting for the overnight success. But anyway,
Well,
who
I
knows?
think, I mean, part of the message, and we're going to talk about it in email in a minute as well, is like it's hard graft, isn't it? There is no. It's so
Yeah,
rare that you get that business that's just like, oh, David Beckham's wearing our stuff, excellent. We've got one or two clients that have had that, and the challenge then is like, if you don't get the next David Beckham wearing your stuff as well, it's like, well, what have
yep,
we got here? We've
yep,
got a big customer
yep.
base who want to hear from him, not us, and he's not actually affiliated with us.
That's right. No, that's right.
Yeah.
And I think, they're one in a million. And kudos to those who can get it, because it
Mm.
can just give those businesses that lift that they need. But the rest of us, it's not. It's a slow burn. It really is a
Yep.
slow burn. And it takes that time to build. And ignorance is certainly bliss when you go into it,
Yep.
into creating your own business. I was guilty of it, thinking, how hard can this be? I spent 20 plus
Mm.
years in the corporate world. Oh, a piece of cake. Yeah, no, it was anything but, and it has been anything but, as as you sort of mentioned earlier. Um,
Yeah.
it's about sort of being realistic and what return you're going to get and in what
Mm.
time, and be prepared for that as well. Just because it's easy these days doesn't mean that it's easy. So,
Yeah. Well, it's easy for
yeah,
everybody.
I think that
And so if
that's,
someone's on
yeah,
Google, there's 10 options and you're only one of the 10, that's now become 20. Now it's
yep,
become 30. You've got to stand out. You've got to stand out for sure.
yep, yep.
Cool.
Not only just stand out, but be consistent. I think it's,
Mm.
don't just run after the quick hit, the quick fix.
Yeah.
You need to be, I mean, that may be your goal. I don't know, but I think, you need to be prepared for the long haul, and that's how we've structured things. And I know, and we are slowly, we've gained that traction. It's taken us time, but people recognise who we are. People, have heard of us. People know what we do, even though we are
Mm.
quite, such a niche business and a niche product. So yeah, they're looking for us now. So
Mm.
that's nice to hear when we hear retailers come to us and say, oh, I had my customers come in and say, how come you don't stock dog and boy? I was just like, oh, thank you. So, the fans are out there and you just need to be consistent with it. All the time.
It's good. It's good. And I mean, the main thing we're going to talk about today really is the community side. So you've got people looking for you now, which is amazing. You guys are being more consistent. What does your email strategy look like? How do you look after your audience? How do you, most importantly, what perhaps there's a second question as we come on to in a minute, but how do you get money from that audience as well? Because it's easy to send an email. It's a lot harder to send an email and go, right, sales have just come in.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to kind of sort of start with more the case of, this is more of who the customer is, because, typically, as I said before, they're an older generation. They're not digital natives and they're very skeptical of being online and purchasing online. COVID, forced them to do so, and it sort of sped the process up. But typically they just weren't into that type of thing. So what we had to do, and it was really, I suppose, again, it came back to the essence of Dog and Boy, and that was, as I said, creating something special. So I really became Dog and Boy's avatar because I actually couldn't find what I wanted in the marketplace at the time. So I couldn't find scarves I liked. So, I thought, well, I'll make my own. And so that's what I did. So I became that avatar. And it was actually talking, not telling, talking to the customers rather than, sort of at them and telling them, not just buy a scarf, but what's the story of Dog and Boy? We actually have the trademark, telling stories through design. So we actually have that trademark. And because that's what we do, it is about, people end up not just buying a scarf, they end up, buying, it's an emotion, it's a connection. So and I know it sounds a bit sort of, woo-woo and that sort of thing, but, and it's not suitable, it's not a strategy that's right for all sorts of brands, but customers become invested into the brand. So they buy Dog and Boy, they don't buy a scarf. Because of the way it makes them feel. I mean, think of, Nike shoes. You buy Nike shoes. Why? Because you think, maybe it's going to make you run faster, or if you, like running. So that sort of thing. So it becomes much more a storytelling that we do through our emails, rather than just saying, oh, hey, buy a scarf. And in fact, our emails don't really say that. Unless we have a very specific reason, which is, yes, we are having a sale, which, I'm sure we can talk about later as well, but, that's a bit of a hot topic
Black
for me.
Friday is around the corner, isn't it, in Cyber Weekend? So
It is. But unless that's purely your goal, we do everything, we'll tell them everything, but, we talk about, obviously, bit of a history of Dog and Boy, about why we started, who we are, about, what we do. We've always been a business. Part of our value has always been to give back. So we do that through a wonderful organisation called I equals Change. So the customers become a part of the donation process. They get to choose where their donation, so we donate on their behalf, they get to choose where it goes. So it's nice. A level of transparency to them. And I think, customers are wanting to make brands more accountable and hold them more accountable for what they're doing and how they're conducting themselves. They want brands to have similar values to them. So that's how we do it. Also simple things, I suppose, practical type things, how to care for your scarf. Some people don't know how to look after a merino wool scarf. So we tell them, we help them with that. That's something that they need help with. So, building that community, it's about, just really talking to them and bringing them on a journey, which sounds, it's a bit, maybe a laboured term, I don't know, but that's what they want. They've signed up to be your customer. They've signed up to your email list because they want to go on that journey. They want to know more about you, about your business, about everything that you're doing. So tell them, and we're a bit of a warts and all kind of business, and the girls will forever taking the piss out of me on social media because they can. So, and that's okay.
Well, I run
because,
this podcast, so I can relate.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
So, and that's okay because it becomes relatable. People go, I relate to that. Um, and the amount of times that we receive emails back from customers about them literally telling us their story, which, honest to
Yep.
God, some of them are heartbreaking. Yeah, they're just, they have it's building a trust, by being open and transparent, and they feel they can trust and provide this, how they're feeling about something, and how, you know, being involved with Dog and Boy or receiving a Dog and Boy scarf or whatever has made them feel in that situation. And yes, I
Well,
think it's building the trust through that communication of email.
yeah. I think
Yeah,
that key point
not
you
sure
made
that.
right at the start.
Yeah.
Wait, no, a really good answer. No, it's interesting to hear that you're not just going, right, email, how do we make money? Bang, let's go. You're looking at the whole cycle
No.
of who they are, how we engage them. That I've written down this as a quote, which I think is amazing, is don't just tell people stuff, talk to them. And I think that's so
Yeah.
important, certainly with email, because it's in their inbox. It's quite a personable thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you make it.
But I think also going back to starting a business, I mean, I think if you going to start a business just to make money, I mean, you need to make money, but if you do it just to make money, it's not going to work. Your customers will, unless you're just a consumable selling, A4 copy paper, it's just not going to it's not going to fly with them. So I think you need to be more than, particularly these days when there is so many options for customers. They could go anywhere. Why are you so special? Yeah.
Yeah. I think one thing I, as a consumer, but also as a marketing person, absolutely love, and it kind of comes down to the sort of Shopify versus Amazon philosophy, if you like, is I so often go on Amazon because I'm like, I need something, I need it quick, or I need something and I want it quick.
Yep.
So you go on Amazon. I'll give an example. One of our guests a couple of years ago bought us a turtle. He's called Sheldon. He lives in our office and he's growing. So we decided to buy him a new tank, and 3 different tanks I ordered on Amazon. The first 2 that I ordered, they literally said, we can't deliver Monday to Friday. I was like, well, we're in office. That doesn't work for us. And I was like, I couldn't believe this. So the third one we ordered from, I contacted and said, do you deliver Monday to Friday? And they're like, yeah, of course we do. Why are you even asking? It's like, well, because your competitors don't. And they were like, oh, that's interesting. And I said, I can tell you some more things about your competitors if you want. So I got on a call with them, had a quick chat, never miss an opportunity.
Competitor advantage, yep.
Yes, exactly. So I said to them, like, and bear in mind they couldn't order that. It's £200 or £300, like for this kind of tank I'm buying. Wow. So you wouldn't be able to check that. But I think the competitiveness of then speaking to that third company, I ordered it and then they said, oh, sorry, sir, that one's not in stock. So you can either get an enormous one or one the same size you've got now. And I'm like, well, I need an upgrade. And the enormous one, I'm not putting that in the office. It's absolutely huge. So I need that one. So I ended up not buying it from them. Went on Google, and within about 2 or 3 minutes, I'd ordered from a local company that said, our delivery policy for a heavy item is that you order it, we'll deliver it within 3 days, but we will call and or email you. And I said, all right, I'd like to be emailed, please, because I'm normally on calls. So an email can reply to. So they emailed me and said, what day do you want this thing delivered? And I was like, Monday. And they were like, cool, we'll see you on Monday. Excellent. Thank you very much. How simple is that process? But they've understood, like, who's buying this stuff. And I just think where Amazon just completely fell down. And as you say, that there's so many options out there. And even on Amazon itself, there were sort of 50 or 60 different options from different sellers. But I think it's that process of finding someone that, I trust this company, because before it's not even arrived yet. It arrives on Monday next week. But I trust them.
Oh, okay. So
and
this is a new addition to the office. Yeah.
Yes, this is literally what's been happening last week and this week. But I trust them because I've had a conversation with them, and the person that's replied is one of the customer service assistants. Now, this is another key thing, I think, and I want to ask you about this on email as well, is that person that emailed me, her name's Laura, and she replied to the second email as well. And as a consumer, this is the kind of thing that I think merchants, you just never think about that. You're just like, customer service team, I've got 10, 20 people. It's obviously slightly different for you. If you've got a smaller team, you might just have one person replying to those emails. But what you don't want to be is just in a big queue on a system somewhere and whoever picks it up replies. I almost don't even care if it wasn't Laura the second time or even the first time, but just that name consistency means I feel like Laura at that company is taking care of me, and I feel looked after. They've asked for my opinion, and when do you want it? I want it on this date. So how do you get that across with email marketing as you're telling stories, as you're giving them a background to the business?
We tell them.
Nice.
If you have I mean, we need to facilitate how we work for our audience, and our audiences, you know, they I have these 80-year-old ladies who ring me and say, oh, I haven't really done, I mean, they're ringing and giving me details over the phone. It's like, oh my gosh. But still, we tell them, you can ring us. Here's our phone number. And even on the website, and that's the other thing, is that, one thing that annoys me as a customer is trying to be able to contact anybody. I can't find an email or I can't find a phone number. How do businesses, I don't know how they do that. What's the story? But my customers, my phone number is there in about half a dozen places. It's on the emails. And we say, if you have any questions or queries, here's our email, here's our phone number. And they ring, and typically it's actually me that answers the phone. And, I go, they go, oh, blah, blah, blah. And who am I speaking with? Oh, this is Sonya. I'm the owner. I can help you. Whatever you need, I can help you. And that builds trust, being able for them to know that, and again, because that's what they're used to. That's what gives them comfort. So it's giving them the information where they need it and how they need it, not because this is the latest whiz-bang process or app that we should be using. That's not, it's not doable.
You're constantly
for
raising
some
the bar
companies.
as well, though. Yeah, I mean, you're constantly raising the bar because, as we've already said, if they don't buy from you, there's all these other options. So if you raise the bar and say, no, we want you to talk to us. That's not a strain. You won't be parked in a queue. We want you to talk to us. They'll now expect that everywhere else. So everywhere else they don't get it, it also probably increases the chance of them coming back to you to buy another product later.
That's right. Exactly.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. So it's.
I love that though.
We work.
Yeah.
We do. We tell them. You got a problem, issue, anything, because we say to them, so in one of our emails, we say to them, we want you to love your dog or boy design. If it's not love at first sight, tell us. We want to help you through this. We don't want them to go, oh, that's crap, that's shit, I don't like it. That's fine. How do we help you? How can we make you feel better with this? So that's how we do it with them. And that's what they feel, as I said, that's how they feel comfortable. So
yeah, good. It must come across, because obviously you guys have been A, running 9 years, and B, your customers obviously like you. And I've had a look on the site and a click around. People are saying good things about you guys. And I guess a big part of that as well is in that engagement is your new ranges, the new seasons. You mentioned you've got 2 seasons a year, and everything's, I think you used the word exclusive. So like that means once it's gone, and then the next range comes out, and there might be a bit, you want a bit of crossover, so you're never without stock. How do you communicate that on email then, to your customers?
We tell them. Literally. So
I'm seeing a theme here.
We do. And it is, so with setting up all of our emails, so we've got, I think it's about half a dozen automations that we have. Am I allowed to say that it's Seguno we use and tell them that?
Oh, of course. They would love that. I'll get an extra T-shirt every time we mention it or something. So.
Excellent.
That's not true, by the way. I still haven't had my first one, but if you're listening, Chris, I'm still on a T-shirt. But sorry.
I mean, by full disclosure, I mean, I obviously there is no contra here, but honest to God, this app on Shopify has changed my business. It has absolutely changed my business. Can I sort of go through that briefly?
Yeah, please.
It really has had such a huge effect on I suppose the response we've had from customers, and then and just the effectiveness of it. So just to give you sort of the brief overview, we have been using Seguno probably for I think about 3 years now. Prior to that, we were with. Am I allowed to say the competitor's name, or you're not allowed to?
Yeah, of course. We're open. We're not precious here at all. So.
Excellent. So we and like most, MailChimp was really one of the only options out there initially. At the time, and for quite some time, MailChimp and Shopify didn't talk to one another. There was argy-bargy going on, obviously. And so from a merchant point of view, it was really crap because I couldn't get anything dynamic. So the whole idea of being personal with my customers was really hard. MailChimp, it gathered leads. That was all really nice. And, on the contact form on the website. And we were able to send the odd newsletter. But it was very hard to actually get something of quality and personal. I came across Seguno. It was actually a friend. She was using it, and I was a big skeptic. I mean, I reckon I'd used every app in Shopify or related to Shopify, and they were either exorbitantly priced or just
Yeah.
just really didn't do what they were going to say they were going to do.
Mm.
Set it up, and oh my gosh. So one of my biggest things was not being able to, so I mentioned dynamic emails. The biggest thing was product reviews. So, that was my, how do I get product reviews? Because ultimately when people go to purchase, they want that, reinforcement from other customers to
Yeah.
say, yep, this is a good thing. So how
Yeah.
do I get that? How do I get that on here? Even getting Google reviews was very expensive. So
Mm.
the plugin app and so forth. And I
Yeah.
wanted to do just more than like one little thing. So started with the product reviews. Within a month, we had about 12 to 15 reviews. Now that might not sound like a lot,
Mm.
but when you're dealing with an audience that doesn't typically like online, and we're a premium product, so they're not consuming every other
Yeah.
day. I was stoked, given that,
Mm.
you know, coming from a zero base, I was absolutely stoked. I went,
Yeah.
oh my God. It was fantastic, and built out the rest of the automations. And so what it allowed me to do, was basically keep in contact with our customers, because
Mm.
like any small business owner, you do 1,000 things, and so sometimes we're
Yeah.
a little bit slow and don't
Mm-hmm.
get our regular newsletters or blogs and that sort of stuff out on time. But what the automations have allowed me to do is be able to sort of set them so that at least every 3 to 4 months, they're kind of hearing from us, every 3 months, really.
Yeah.
Um, and, and that's fine, because that's for our business, that's good.
Mm.
We don't need to bombard them every second week,
Mm-hmm.
because, again, I know as a customer, if someone's sending me something day in, day out, I'm going to unsubscribe. I only want to, I want to be able to tell them something. I want to be able to teach them something, and then engage them with that. So, look, it was a game
Mm.
changer. It really was. The other thing was the fact that they had the Facebook leads connection. And again, we never ran Facebook lead ads prior to Seguno. It was just
Mm-hmm.
so hard. I didn't have the funding to be able to outsource to an agency. We had minimal budget, to do
Mm-hmm.
this. So we just didn't, and Facebook was so damn hard to actually get the leads from and set it up and so forth. So
Yeah.
um, the connection now, we went from, I think it was around about, so again, sort of three years, and again, the
Mm-hmm.
demographic we're dealing in, we've gone from probably, I think, about 2,500 to about 9,000.
Wow.
So, and that's with a really tiny, but we have a tiny budget.
Mm.
So, it was, yeah. When I can get somewhere between 3 to 5 leads a day, I think that's,
Mm.
I'm happy with that type of thing. Again, given our demographic, I think that's a
Yeah.
pretty good result. So yeah.
Mm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's amazing. I mean, although you say like it might not sound like a lot to certain people listening now, it's completely relative to the business, isn't it? I mean, if you told me I was, as an agency owner, if I was going to get 3 to 5 leads a day, it's like I'm going to need to like triple my staff. That it's that kind
Yep.
of game changer for so it is all
Yep.
relative. And I think to you guys as well, with that customer care and that premium product, well, that works. That really does
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. And again,
Um,
not being a
mm,
consumable product like face care or skincare and that sort of thing.
yeah.
People are purchasing once or maybe twice a season. That's
Mhm.
it. So,
Yeah.
the fact that, we're still generating that,
Mm,
yeah, I think it was,
yeah.
a great result.
And it's really interesting as well, because we did an episode only a few weeks ago where we actually talked about sending 2 emails a day. So that's over
Oh,
700 a year. But that was for a sports memorabilia brand. So it was like first thing in the morning, his audience want to hear from him. They want to hear like,
yep.
so and so was amazing in the game last night. We've got a load of their
Yep.
signed helmets or pictures or
Yep.
whatever. And and people want to buy that stuff. These are
Yeah.
collectors. And then in the evening at dinner time before the game. So that works for him. That works for him. I think you guys as well, acknowledging that actually, if you sent an email every day, every week, every month, it's going to be too much because people aren't in the market to buy something. So we
No.
get the story across, but we
Yep.
accept that this is like a 20-year game as opposed to what they're working on, which might be like a 3 or
Yep.
4 month game.
That's it. Exactly. So, conversion, it may take a season. Sometimes they have an immediate need, and yep, bang, that's what they want. Other times they
Yep.
just want to get to know you. What are you about, and are you worthy of my money? Basically, is
Yeah,
what they're saying to you.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Yep,
I think there's trust and is it good value? Those are always the kind of
yep.
yeah. We had a chap called Matt on who I'm still really good friends with. He runs a podcast about podcasts. Matt Edmondson, if anyone wants to go and check him out.
Okay.
But he gave us
Yep,
this kind of quadrant of things, which was like, do you trust it? Yes or no? And is it good
yep.
value? Yes or no? And it's like there's only one part of that quadrant where you're going to get your core customers. There's two parts you might get people that are like, I don't really trust these guys, but it's really good value. I'll give it a go. Or I really trust
Yep.
these guys. It's not great value, but let's just get it and see what. And those are the ones you don't really want to target. You want to target the people that trust you.
That's it.
And I think that's really
Yep,
key.
yep.
So bringing it on then to like one of the hottest, or I might say coldest topics this time of year. Hot topic, but a cold season, but not for you guys because obviously we're in different hemispheres. But Black Friday, Cyber Monday's around the corner,
Yep,
Christmas is around the
yep.
corner. So last thing I want to talk about today, how do you guys approach that? What do you do on email when it comes to discounting exclusives without devaluing the brand?
Yeah.
And obviously you're going to tell me
Look,
that you tell them. I know that bit, but but yeah,
we tell them.
what do you guys do in terms of everything else?
Yeah. Yeah. So look, I mean, typically we're not a brand, and again, we tell them we don't typically go on
Mm.
sale. So our customers know that because we are, we produce in limited quantities. But
Mm-hmm.
we do have a sale once a year, and it is during the Black Friday period.
Yep.
We chose that simply, and again, testing and that type of thing
Mm.
found that is actually where we got our best return, our hugest bang at that point of
Wow.
year. We were
That's
getting,
good.
a huge response to it. So yes, we participate in that. But we don't, I think generally sales and discounts are a bit of a bugbear of mine, and particularly in the fashion industry. Um,
Mm.
Brands, I think, fall into the terrible trap of, oh, we're not selling through. Let's put it on sale. And she's like, well, no, hang on a minute. If
Yeah.
you're not selling through, there's another reason for that. It's either you're
Mm.
targeting the wrong audience, you've got the wrong product mix. Look at that first. Don't keep
Mm.
investing in bringing in the same stuff if it's not selling
And
through.
forcing people to buy it. That's expensive.
It
Yeah.
devalues the brand. It just, yeah. And people will go, oh, that's okay. It'll be on sale in a month. Why am I going to pay full price? I'll wait.
Mm.
And that's what
Yeah.
happens. And again, it's a terrible thing in the fashion industry because we've become this throwaway society where it's just like, oh, that's okay. It only cost me $20. So, I can throw it away. It's like, no, that's not right. So back to the Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Yep, we participate. So it is a series of emails, but prior to sort of sending that, we do obviously ramp it up with some social media. And again, I haven't sort of made the point, is everything we do on email, we do via every other channel. So every time you touch Dog and Boy or see Dog and Boy, it will be the same voice, it will be the same tone, it'll be the similar type of content. So you will view it and go, oh yeah, I know that's Dog and Boy, I get it. And again, builds trust. They understand who we are. So, and it's consistency. So our emails, the sole purpose of our emails at that time of year is we are on sale. Get it now, or else you will miss out, because if it sells through, it's gone forever. And you get a nice little discount. So get it for Christmas presents or birthday gifts that are coming up, or something for yourself. So they do, and it's a premium product. They take full advantage of it. So yeah, it obviously it clears the way to it gets the cash off our shelf and into our bank account, so that we have got more funds to do what we want. So it's a series. It's just simply a series of emails, and the sole purpose is we are on sale. So
I think there's some really
it's
key
really as
messages
simple
there,
as
aren't
that.
there? Yeah. I think once it's gone, it's gone. So you've got this like indefinite urgency, which I think is really powerful. But then also, I think telling customers, as we said, telling customers this is the only sale of the year, also creates more urgency. And actually, if you get that messaging right in terms of the design of the email and the format, so that message is actually understood by customers, especially if you're acquiring new customers, then to say, you've come in through a discount, you're a new customer, this is not a normal thing, so don't get used to it. Like we don't discount stuff because we sell everything. They're all exclusives. It's a really, really good business model, I think. And it keeps it clear so it's not devalued. Because as you say, if somebody sees like a Black Friday, like Apple, the ones who've been driving Black Friday for years, and they say it's the only discount we do in the year. It is the only time we discount anything.
Yep.
And a lot of people do wait for that. So they know they're going to have 2 or 3 months before that people are waiting. But I've also noticed their discounts have got smaller and smaller every year. Like they barely discounted last year. We often buy, if we need any laptops at work or anything, we buy them that time of year. Why not? We're going to save some money.
Yeah.
But you don't save that much, which then mentally I'm now thinking like, I'm not going to wait 4 months. I'm just going to buy it. Like we just need it and it's a business. Just get on with it. I need the thing and I can use it for 4 months, which is more value.
Yeah, and the risk that they actually might sell through and you might not get it when you actually do need it and that type of thing.
Exactly.
And there's a whole reason why the heritage designer brands, the Pradas and the Gucci's and the Louis Vuittons of the world, that's why you never see them go on sale. There's a reason for that.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. I mean, one premium brand we worked with through a couple of different Black Fridays, they basically said that we're going to spend more on advertising and we're going to acquire way more customers and our revenue's going to go up, but we're not putting a single discount on the website. And we were a bit like, well, that's what Black Friday's for. But yeah, that's your decision. It's not what we would advise, but let's see what happens. So I'll be honest, as an advertising agency, it's like, we know we're going to make more ROI. That's our statistic, our job, but we need to respect the wider business. So anyway, we did it and it was so successful because what they found is more people were shopping that time of year anyway, which meant people were now in shopping mode. So they got way more sales, but also their Black Friday was more like a kind of nice big bell curve as opposed to it being a spike, which it lasted longer. It probably wasn't as big as it would have been with a discount, but the rest of the year then there was probably, and this is one of the things you never really know about marketing, but they probably didn't suffer as much the rest of the year as they would have if they had discounted, because people would have gone, I really want that, but it's such a premium item. I can wait 9 months. I'm going to see if they discount it on Black Friday. And I think we're all building our Black Friday and Christmas shopping lists already as well. So.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
But Sonya, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on today. Really appreciate your time. Some great questions, great conversations. And one thing I always ask people at the end as well is, how can people reach out to you? There's 4 of you in the team. What's the website? What's a good way to connect?
Yep. Yeah, well, we're at dogandboy.com and you can reach us there and you'll find our phone number, you'll find our email, and we're at the end of the line. So you can certainly find who we are. And as I said, you'll find out all about us and happy to talk to anyone.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time. It's been great to chat today.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Nick.
You're very welcome. And for everyone listening, obviously any of our guests at the moment as well, go and subscribe to their emails. We've said it in a couple of other episodes as well. So go and see what other people are doing if you want to improve your email game. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, leave us a review, hit the subscribe button. And we post pretty much every Friday, occasionally not on Fridays, but mostly every Friday. So make sure you check out next Friday as well to see what content we're putting up. So thanks a lot for tuning in and I hope you have a great week.